Hi guys, this HackerRank challenge is called Birthday Chocolates. Now I'm going to skip all the narrative behind this with the chocolate and everything and just jump straight into the inputs with this illustration because I think it's easier to understand the challenge that way. Our input is going to consist of 3 lines. The first line is the number of elements in an array. So if we see 5, it means the array we have to process has 5 elements. And you can see that with what I'm highlighting here, 1, 2, 1, 3, and 2. These are the elements from our array. And in the third line, we have 2 other values. So the first value, we're going to refer to it as D. You can see what I'm highlighting, D equals 3 and M equals 2. The point of having D and M is because we need to sum up values from our array to get a certain result. So if we say that M equals 2, it means that we need to add up 2 elements from our array to get the value of D, which is 3. So if we look through our array and we check index 0 and index 1, these are 2 elements. When we add them up, then we get the value 3, which is equal to the value of D right here. So we increase a certain counter by 1 because we need to count how many times we can add up different elements from our array to get the value of D. So we add up 1 and 2, we get 3. So that counts as 1. Then we add up 2 and 1 at the next iteration. Let me scroll up a bit. So you can see here we have 2 and 1 at index 1 and index 2. We also get 3. So we increase our counter again by 1. Then we can proceed to check 1 and 3 and then 3 and 2. So we're only able to get the value 3 twice in our array. That was with index 0 and index 1 and index 1 and index 2. So we return the value 2 in a certain function. So that function is in fact the solution here that I've provided. I've already coded this challenge. I have this int function that I'm calling birthday. It has a vector and it also has 2 other parameters, D and M. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm creating 3 variables. The sum is what I'm going to update at every iteration as I'm looping through my array to check can I get the value that I'm looking for. And the second variable counter here is what I'm using to slide through my array. You can view this coding challenge a bit as a sliding window challenge. This variable here that I'm calling valid is what I'm going to update anytime I'm able to use M amount of elements to get the value D. So eventually you can see I have these return statements, but to take you through that function in order, let's look at our for loop here. It goes from I equals 0 all the way to the end of the array. So this algorithm is linear. It scales linearly in terms of time complexity. We can also say O of n. And anytime I'm looping through that array, I increase my counter by 1. And then I also update the value of my sum variable with the value of the current elements at the index I'm at. And then you can see what I'm highlighting here. This is a small if statement. I'm using that to slide through the array. So I can check if counter equals m, then I can enter that if statement, and I can verify if the sum that I have so far is equal to D. So let's say I equals 1. The counter at that point is going to be equal to 2, and my sum variable is going to be equal to 3. So this is going to evaluate to true. Then when I enter this if statement, I'm going to check this one here. Is the sum equal to D, where D is 3? Then this will evaluate to true, and then I can increase the value of my valid variable by 1. And I can decrease my counter here so that I can slide my window. And to make sure that I keep my values correct, I also need to deduct the last element here. So let me explain a bit better. So let's say I'm at iteration 2. I'm going to sum up 1 and 2, that equals 3. Then I need to move here to index 2 right here. And in order to keep my sum correct, I need to deduct 1 from it, which is at index 0. And I can now add up 2 plus 1. Then I will deduct 2, I'll be left with 1, and I will add up 1 and 3. Then I will deduct 1, I will be left with 3, and I can add up 3 and 2. So that's what I'm doing here. That's why I'm sliding through the array within a certain range, and my range only allows m number of elements. So I decrease my counter, and then I remove the last elements from my sum so that at the next iteration, I can update it with the new value that I am processing. So when I'm done processing my array, I simply return my variable called valid. So let's run this code right now. I recommend you play around with this and possibly look into other solutions. But we pass all the 3 sample test cases. I'm now going to submit my code and we pass all the test cases. So that's it for this coding challenge. If you guys like my solution, please subscribe to this channel to support it. Give this video a thumbs up and I'll catch you next time. Bye.